You're watching ABC for Alaska on Alaska Superstation.
Just ahead tonight on Newslink, critics speak out against Governor Knowles' tax plan. Also tonight on Newslink, Defense Secretary William Cohen orders more warplanes to Europe, preparing to strike Yugoslavia. And in Village View, some Native elders tell stories of times gone by. Carrie Kerrigan has our weekend weather outlook. John Seibel has the day in sports. Newslink is next.
Connecting your world, you're watching Alaska Superstation. And now, this is Newslink Alaska.
Good evening. The governor's tax plan took some hits today during its first public hearing in the state capitol. Governor Tony Knowles is proposing to use some of the permanent fund earnings and imposing a state income tax to help close the budget gap. At the State Affairs Committee hearing, one caller told legislators a tax would make the government the master and the people their slaves. Another said, no, no, and hell no. State Affairs Committee Chair Jeanette James and the governor himself say they welcome public testimony.
Eventually we'll move this bill to finance where it will either live or die. But in the meantime, we wanted to be sure that we have a good hearing process and that anyone that wants to testify has the ability to testify.
And I certainly think that criticism of the plans that I put on the table are not only justified but welcome. The responsibility, though, and I think that's the key word as we work our way through this, the responsibility is for people to come up with recommendations.
The governor and majority leaders have been working together closely to solve the gap. Both agree even the most aggressive cuts won't solve the state's budget problem. Oil company officials discuss a possible tax break with legislators. Today in the House Oil and Gas Committee, BP leaders gave a presentation on the current environment. But the routine presentation turned to the tax structure and how it may discourage current and future investments by oil companies. No formal request was made to change the tax structure, and Jim Whitaker, a Fairbanks Republican, says in any event, it's highly unlikely a new tax relationship could be struck this session, but in the future, a new deal could be made if it benefits oil companies and the state. While legislators work on fixing the state's fiscal problems, the city of Anchorage gives its struggling sister cities some much-needed help. Local officials kicked off the To Russia with Love campaign at a press conference this afternoon, explaining the details of the program. Operation Megadon aims to send an estimated 20,000 boxes filled with rice, sugar, flour, and other necessities to help those starving in the region. Organizers say residents there are living on $1 a day with no hot water and limited electricity.
Some families can't feed their children, and the only way that they can get their children fed is to send them to orphanages, which is such a dramatically sad scene to have to give up their children in order to have them live.
You can purchase your prepackaged care box to Magadan at any Cars or Safeway store starting Sunday. Well, Secretary of Defense William Cohen will speak to Alaskans tomorrow on the great security challenges of the next century. But his mind is likely focused on a possible NATO attack on Yugoslavia. If Serbia and ethnic Albanians fail to reach a peace agreement on Kosovo during talks in France, U.S. and NATO airplanes may strike. ABC's Jim Sciutto reports.
With the noon Saturday deadline looming, NATO troops prepared to force a peace agreement in Kosovo with military strikes. Secretary of State Madeleine Albright had a stern warning for Yugoslav President Slobodan Milosevic.
He should understand that if airstrikes occur, he will be hit hard and he will be deprived of the things that he values.
In anticipation of an attack, Defense Secretary William Cohen ordered 51 additional warplanes to Europe, including stealth bombers. Cohen said the extra forces will be in place by the middle of next week, but defense officials would not rule out an attack coming earlier.
The movement of these aircraft certainly adds to the capability and brings additional forces closer to the theater, but that is not to say that action could not be taken in their absence.
The preparations continue despite a warning from Russian President Boris Yeltsin that Moscow will, quote, not allow Kosovo to be touched. Yeltsin said he delivered that message directly to President Clinton, but Mr. Clinton says he hasn't spoken with Mr. Yeltsin. Either way, U.S. officials say NATO has the authority to attack with or without Russian approval.
Time now for our first look at weather. Carrie Kerrigan is standing by with the forecast. Carrie.
Still lots of clouds hanging around across the state. Light snow tonight across Fairbanks. Expect that to carry on into tomorrow. Some warming temperatures and a little more sunshine towards the weekend. Going to be a great weekend for skiing. Have a look and we'll show you what's going on as we move towards Anchorage. Lots of overcast skies. Some flurries are expected, but very widely scattered flurries. Still, temperatures fairly warm for the next couple of days. A little cooler on Saturday with mid-20s expected and some sunny breaks in there. Also, Juneau seeing some decent temperatures for the next couple of days. Still warming up and pushing towards 40 for the first part of the week. Very nice indeed. And for Kenai, word is that we'll get a little bit of snow towards the end of the weekend, but temperatures still hovering right around the freezing mark. Going to be some ice in spots off and on, and also going to be some thawing going on, so you can feel some water on top of some ice in some spots as well. Please drive carefully. We'll have more coming up for you in 3D weather in a couple of minutes, so hang on for that. Linda.
Look forward to it. Thanks, Carrie. A Fairbanks woman facing prosecution for an illegal Ponzi scheme asked the state to provide her with an attorney. Regine Bonham pleaded innocent to perjury and 6 counts of filing false reports to state regulators. She says she cannot afford an attorney. If convicted, she'll serve 5 years in prison for mail fraud and money laundering. Bonham's scheme took millions of dollars from thousands of investors in 42 states. Her trial is set to begin in May. Despite reports that crime rates are falling in Alaska, many people are concerned about the violence in our society. Violence prevention specialists say much of the society's behavioral problems begin at home. Dozens of Anchorage area counselors met at Charter North Star Hospital this afternoon to learn new ways to counteract the growing trend. They say the most critical time of a child's behavioral growth happens during their first 5 years. Abuse and neglect are 2 of the most dominant factors contributing to violent behavior. But anger management professionals say there are some things you can do at home to shape nonviolent behavior in your kids.
By interacting with your child, by meeting their needs, by holding them, by touching them, by talking with them, that early stimulation is very important.
If you would like to learn more about reducing violent tendencies in your children, you can contact the Anchorage Center for Families at 276-4994. Needy kids and expectant moms will have less red tape to deal with in getting health care in Alaska. Denali Kid Care offers free doctor visits, trips to the hospital, and free prescriptions. Governor Knowles made the health care expansion part of his Smart Start program last year. Kids under 18 and pregnant women qualify if their income is less than double the federal poverty rate for Alaska. That's about $41,000 a year for a family of 4. Coming up next, a history lesson for university students. Native elders tell stories of a life in an Alaskan village. And later, driving on thin ice, some people call it their profession. But first, these are poll questions of the week.
Is your image of the Honda Accord outdated? Too bad. We've had some breakthrough years. The 99 Accord LX, with so much size, power, and room, it's not just up to date, it's ahead of its time.
Lease the 99 Accord LX at the very special price of $219 a month for 36 months.
It's a bike ride to raise money for the American Diabetes Association, and it's called Tour de Cure. This will be my 3rd year. I do it because I get a great workout, and you feel good about doing something for someone else. Ha! Yeah. I get tired. There's someone behind me whispering in my ear. You can do it. I need you. Come on, legs. My father had diabetes. How far would I go to help someone else? How long is the road?
We'll never forget that night. We couldn't believe it was happening to us. It was a nightmare. We realized there was a problem when John started stealing money. He was never home. And when he was, it was a war. Our lives didn't have to be that way.
When your family's in trouble, Charter is here 24 hours a day, every day. If you don't get help at Charter, please get help somewhere.
Storytelling began as a way to pass history from one generation to the next. Now, in honor of the tradition, the University of Alaska Fairbanks is hosting a storytelling series. In tonight's Village Views, Michael Contreras takes us back in time as Alaskan natives and American Indian elders share their knowledge of life the way it used to be.
west of Nome, known as King Island, was once filled with the sound of dancing, laughter, and life of Inupiaq Eskimos. Edward and Margaret Pennatak were born and raised on King Island. This happy couple has raised 14 children and has just celebrated their 51st wedding anniversary. The Pennataks, along with the rest of the tribe, moved to Nome after the Bureau of Indian Affairs shut down the school. For the past 16 years, they've lived in Fairbanks, but they say they miss life on the island.
On King Island, it was rough and rugged. It was hard living, but the people loved it because it was home to the people. On King Island, they also had a natural cold storage, which was cold all year round, where they kept the meat, the berries, and the fish.
No matter how hot it is, the meat always be frozen in there. The sun, we always go up there on top of the island.
The women picked greens. They either picked the greens on the top, on the side of the island, or sometimes on the back of the island. The greens are kept year-round. They are kept fresh. They're dipped in seal oil and frozen. And the greens are usually eaten with seal or walrus meat and fish. The men went out hunting on the sea ice where it was often rugged, and the men had a hard time spotting the sea mammals due to the ice ridge that was crushed together, so the men often had to go around looking for the sea mammals. And at times the men were gone for a day or longer. Sometimes they'd be gone for 2 or 3 days until they caught a seal and they would finally go home. The men would hunt seals in the winter, and in the middle of May they would go out hunting for walrus. They would hunt walrus for 2 to 2.5 weeks since the ice would go away. In the fall time, the bulls would rest on the rocks around the island.
When asked what they miss most about the island, Margaret said the crowd. As for Edward, well, he just misses King Island. In Fairbanks, for NewsLink Alaska, I'm Michaelyn Contreras.
And again, we'd like to mention the video seen was courtesy of the Alaska Film Archive and the University of Alaska Fairbanks Rasmussen Library. We'll be back with weather right after this.
Click, click, save, save. Coupons on the internet. www.aksupersite.com. Click and save today.
Day 82. Coldest day yet. Even the dogs won't move. Still no radio contact and supplies are running low.
Mom? I brought you some cookies and some nice hot cocoa. Bye-bye, dear.
There are a few things you can always count on. The Go Anywhere Jeep Cherokee is just one of them. Now get a Cherokee and get all these features at no extra charge. See your Interior Alaska Jeep dealer.
You know, a lot of fishermen in British Columbia are struggling because of bad federal fisheries management. Management dominated by political maneuvering between the province and Ottawa, and by a phony conservation crisis that unfairly paints fishermen in southeast Alaska as the bad guys. But there is a solution. If Canada wants to enjoy abundant, healthy harvests, they've got to manage the resource with sound science and beg the political posturing. And that's a fact.
Thank you, Alaska.
Thank you, Alaska.
Thank you, Alaska.
I'm Joe Holbert, host of Capital Focus on Alaska Superstation. Join us every Sunday as we look at the tough issues facing all Alaskans.
You're watching ABC for Alaska on Alaska Superstation.
Good evening, everybody. Have a look at what's going on across the state. Still lots of clouds hanging with us across the interior. That's going to kind of break up a little bit over the next several days. We're expecting to see some sunshine off and on. Yay! Even though it's not right now. Take a look. We'll kind of swing out across. You're looking at McGrath here in the foreground and Barrow way back in the distance. We're just going to kind of swing up and around portions of the backside of the Alaska Range and look our way out across portions of the Gulf of Alaska. There's Anchorage down below you, Kenai Peninsula, Prince William Sound. Here's what's left of this low pressure system continuing to track its way in onto shore. There's still a couple of low pressure centers, kind of very weak ones, hanging back across the Gulf of Alaska. That weakened trough that kind of passed across us this morning. Surprise! A little bit of low pressure there. Got some snow. I saw it coming. Okay, never mind. Let's have a look. Kind of like, what do we get? 6 inches of snow in Anchorage. Unbelievable, really, that little bit of snow. Nothing like a little springtime surprise, and I'd like to apologize for actually using the word springtime last night. Have a look down towards the Panhandle, and further down towards the south, the next system is coming in, but for right now, we're still not looking too bad off the coastline. They're still getting a little bit of rain showers at lower elevations, but the beauty of it is most of the systems tracking in now are coming right up from out of the south and across from the North Pacific, and that's bringing a lot warmer temperatures down towards the entire Panhandle. Have a look at an absolutely gorgeous time-lapse from out the weather window this afternoon. Here's that snow that came down early, started to break up, and then the skies cleared, and it was absolutely gorgeous. And talk about a beautiful sunset. Absolutely awesome across South Central today. Want to see the sunset? There it is. Okay, let's have a look now and show you what's going on outside today with high temperatures. 8 in Fairbanks. Temperatures in the 20s for the most part of the valleys of the south, 34 in Valdez, 32 in Seward, and 30 in Homer. Now look at the rest of the state. Still cooling down just a little bit. 7 in Nome, 21 in Bethel. But look at that 4 in Barrow. That makes them happy. 29 in Cold Bay and 35 in Kodiak. Juneau hit 35 today as well. It was just enough of a mix to be on that rain-snow line, so rain down low, but snow up at Eagle Crest today, 9 in the high in the Northway. Take a look at the satellite shots. Really, the only thing we're dealing with is this low in the Gulf. Still a lot of kind of trash strung out around the outside edge of the state, low pressure and troughs, and what's left of them kind of still ringing the outside of the state. That's what's bringing this instability to the weather when we're getting these breaks, a little bit of snow, some clouds and whatnot going on, but that's really the main center. The next system starting to rev up, which is way out here along the extreme western edge, and you'll see it really nicely by tonight's shot. There's the leading edge of it starting to come in. It's going to bring a lot of clouds to southwest and also south central Alaska before the weekend is over, and we expect some precipitation with that as well. Of course, finger skiers. Have a look, and we'll show you what we got going on outside right now. It continues to be pretty much decent weather, although air quality in Anchorage is good. It's moderate in Fairbanks. Juneau's still looking pretty good. Light winds everywhere for the most part. Take a look at the 5-day. We'll show you what's happening here. A little bit of snow in Fairbanks for tomorrow. It's snowing right now, as a matter of fact, and then some clearing as we get towards the weekend. Should be great skiing. Take a look at Anchorage. We are still expecting some clouds. Good chance probably Sunday, maybe Monday for a little bit more snow activity, but by the time the weekend is through, we should be looking at almost mid-30s. Yeah, warming up. Yeah, really. That's very okay. I'm trying. Okay. Have a look at the clouds over the southeast, and then some rain and snow mixed, and probably just rain by Tuesday, so still staying warm. A look at the roads. We'll just kind of buzz through this, and I'll tell you, ice on the roadways. The biggest problem is going to be ice with water on top of it. Worst driving conditions possible are out there, so please be careful. Rain in Seattle, Portland, San Francisco, Stinky Binky, Los Angeles, who cares, and Honolulu. Rain, what is going on? Don't leave. Traveler's forecast is really bad. And have a look. That's a weather term. Stinky Binky is weather terminology. Alyeska, 9 inches of new snow, 1.5 foot of new snow at the top at Alyeska. Hilltop, I'm the weatherman. I got to go where I have to go. 4 inches of new snow there at Hilltop. Ski land is open. Moose Mountain is also open. Good with 3 inches. It happened this morning. You saw Stinky Binky weather this morning. Eagle Crest, 165 inches at the top. And by the way, Alpenglow is open on Saturday, too, so boy, there's some good weather out there.
I have a bone to pick with you.
Yeah?
Get up this morning, go out to my car to go volunteer at the hospital, have to, wipe snow off my car. Springtime.
Okay, John, what about those sports? God, those Yankees, what's the deal?
Can't get you out of this one, Harry.
All right.
I'm trying.
All right. I would say thanks, but I don't feel that generous.
Springtime, everyone.
We head to the Kenai Peninsula.
For some hockey state championships, bragging rights are at stake. The two best teams in the state were both on the ice tonight, not against each other, but nonetheless, we have highlights coming up in sports.
Some of today's most advanced life-saving technologies were initiated here in the Chrysler and Plymouth minivans. The most minivan safety firsts. The most minivan safety firsts. Chrysler, we made the minivan what it is today.
See your interior Alaska Chrysler Plymouth dealer today.
When most eyeglass stores say they have glasses for $64, they're forgetting something important. Like the lenses, those cost extra. But at Vista Optical, $64 buys you the frame and lenses. And Vista has over 400 high-quality, fashionable frames to choose from, all for $64. So if it's real value you're looking for, you'll find it at Vista. Get 3 free options on all additional pairs, a $30 value.
Okay, item 7. Who requested separating seats?
We did. It falls under the personal space clause.
I have no problem with that.
Me neither.
Good.
Well, other than tray table custody, I think we may have ourselves a minivan.
Not so fast, folks. I believe you know my client.
Timmy?
The all-new 7-passenger, something for everyone Honda Odyssey. It's one big happy minivan.
You're watching ABC for Alaska on Alaska Superstation.
Soldotna is the place to be for hockey junkies this week. The final 8 are in town, all fighting for the title of the baddest team in the state. That list includes the top-ranked Service Cougars. The Cougs are 21-3 and ranked number 1 in the state. But to finish number 1, they'll have to do something they have been unable to pull off the last 2 years. That's win the big game. Step 1 for the Cougs was against West Valley. First period, no score. Brian Anderson with the bullet past Seth Thomas. 1-zip Cougs. It's 2-zip in the second. West Valley cuts it in half thanks to Olin Twitchell. 2-1 at that point, but that's as close as the pack would get. Still in the second, Darren Underwood playing a little pinball off Sean Murphy's skate, only Murph is on the other team. The goal counts. Service adds 3 more. They win it 6-1. The Cougars remain perfect on the ice this year thanks to Darren Underwood's offensive tendencies. He had a pair of goals. Brian Anderson added a goal and an assist. Earlier in the afternoon, the defending champs began their road to repeat against Sohai. It's 2-1 Diamond in the second. Sean Leamy spots Joey Crabb. He finds Twine. 3-1 Lynx. After a quick timeout, some cutaway shots. More seafood later in the second. Looks an awful lot like the first goal. Leamy to Crabb. Goal. That's easy. 4-1 Lynx. Through creative editing, we go ice level in the third. More Lynx pressure. They're scrambling in front. Scramble. Scramble. Goal. Aaron Buck gets the goal, but Crabb gets the credit. 5-1 Diamond at that point. You get the point. Diamond wins it 6-1. Crabb gets the hat trick, +1 in the rout. The Lynx now move on to the semis, where they'll face the winner between Lathrop and Bartlett. And that'll be Bartlett. That's because the Golden Bears hop on the back of goalie Ryan Bancroft as he puts on a clinic to shut down the Malamutes. Bancroft had 16 saves. And in Chugiak, Trey Schaefer is going to be really popular with the ladies. He scored a hat trick as the Stangs drill the Knights 4-zip. The mission for the UAA Cagers this year was simple: get to the postseason. They can sew that up with a win in tomorrow or Saturday. But a playoff berth, as important as it is secondary this weekend. The primary objective, win the war. It's Civil War weekend, and oh, what a way to end the regular season. UAA and UAF with a home-and-home series. As hot as this rivalry is, it's been all Wolves over the past decade. UAA has won the last 6 and 20 of the last 21. But there's another storyline in tomorrow's game, the return of the Duke. Wolf Senior Jim Hadukovich heads home to Fairbanks for Game 1 of the series, but he says the series isn't about him, it's about the team.
It's a big series, regardless. You got to win out, you know, going towards the NCAA tournament if you want to get in there. Being Fairbanks, our rival, it's even bigger. Crowd's going to be ready to go. They're going to be liking me, I'm sure, right off the bat. And, you know, that just makes it a little more special.
They use the word bragging rights and all that kind of stuff. You know, it is that, but it's also just our last 2 games in the conference, and what we're really concerned about is trying to get into the NCAA tournament.
The Nooks have postseason on the brain as well. 1 win should pull it off. And Coach Takita says there would be no better way to punch their playoff ticket than by beating the Wolves.
This is what college basketball is all about. It comes down to the last weekend of the season. We need to win a game. They need to win a game. And, you know, we're all looking at positioning in the tournament. We're looking at getting to the tournament. You know, the crowd's going to be hyper and very large. It's just what fun is here in any college arena in America when you get that big rivalry game. So it's here.
Game 1 is tomorrow night at the Patty Center in Fairbanks. The regular season finale Saturday at the UAA Sports Center. From basketball to bunny boots, day 6 of the Yukon Quest. And if you're from Healy, you're probably in the top 5, at least 2 Healy guys are. Here's the latest, straight from Quest headquarters. Ramey Brooks and Chris Swangern are still renting space in the top 5. They're the 2 guys from Healy, by the way. This screen is getting pretty old, I know, but it's still accurate. No one is in Dawson City yet, but Brooks is expected any minute. He was the leader out of Eagle, over 2 hours ahead of Mark May. Swanger in 3rd. Peter Buteri and John Schandelmeyer round out the top 5, but that could all change in a matter of minutes. We'll have another update tomorrow at 6, and I'm going to promise you a new leaderboard. But that's tomorrow, and we must all live for today. We do that with a scoreboard. the Aces return to the ice tomorrow, no doubt looking to end that 4-game losing streak.
That'll be fun. Thanks, John. Yeah. Still to come, icy roads are not slowing down drivers in Tennessee. We'll explain why coming up.
With available V8 power and 8-passenger seating, the largest interior in its class, and available 4-wheel drive, you could think of Dodge Durango as a fully enclosed snowmobile for the road. Which means Durango covers new ground, even when you can't see the ground. See the friendly interior Alaska Dodge dealer near you.
The spirit of Alaska can be found in the wild beauty of our country. The majesty of its creatures, large and small. The energy and exuberance of our people. The awesome forces of nature working its magic. Come experience the true spirit of Alaska with Pen Air, serving Alaskans for nearly 50 years.
Okay, so you haven't had time to Rondi this year. Then make the last weekend in Fur Rendezvous your first with a Pizza Hut Rondi on ice. Or if you like your athletes a little furrier, take in the World Championship Sled Dog Race. Or root for your favorite pup at the World Championship Dog Weight Pull. And don't forget the Great Alaska Winter Brew and Barley Wine Festival Friday and Saturday. It's the last weekend of Rondi, so come on. Rendezvous, come on.
Once again, here's another look at our top stories. Critics take aim at the governor's tax plan at a public hearing in the state capitol today. Unemployment in Alaska reaches its seasonal threshold, and that means up to 13 more weeks of benefits. And Operation Magadan hopes to send 20,000 boxes of food to help people who are starving in that area. Kerry promises springtime sometime, just not now. Snow at 15 in Fairbanks, 29 and cloudy at Anchorage, the same but a little warmer, 36 in Juneau. If you were on the road in Anchorage this morning, you know how hard it could be to drive with poor road conditions. And most Alaskans agree motorcycles in winter don't mix. But the people in Tennessee haven't figured that out yet. These are trained professional motorcycle ice racers, that is. These cycles have metal spikes on the tires, allowing them to make the razor-sharp turns around the Coliseum. But it's only practice. The real ice racing show begins this weekend in Memphis.
They say don't try this at home, kids, but you know, your mom and dad did it on the way to work this morning, trust me.
It's very true.
Was that Herb with the scooter, by the way?
Looked like it, didn't it?
Herb on the moped with spikes?
All right, I'm wrapping it up, kids. We leave you tonight with a reminder of how quickly Mother Nature can change her mind. Some sights this morning of the morning drive at Anchorage. Good night.
She said, son, this is the road to hell. On your journey across the wilderness, from the desert to the well, you have strayed upon the motorway to hell.
Statewide air delivery for Alaska's Superstation, News Lake, Alaska, has been provided by Alaska Airlines Gold Streak when you need same-day package delivery throughout Alaska.
You're watching ABC for Alaska on Alaska's Superstation.
February 18, 1999.